The Hockey Hall of Fame is pleased to induct Rod Langway in the player category.
Thank you very much. Now I know why hockey players are so many great storytellers. Hey, Clarky? But in my speech, I have three phases. I think I have so many coaches and teammates to thank, organizations. I've only played in three, but I have to start with my coaches. I didn't have that really a tight family of growing up, but I had two older brothers that, you know, when they got home, if they got home, take me to early practices and spend time with me to get involved in hockey. Most of my growth was, you know, south of Boston. I played football and baseball mostly until Bob Orr came to Boston. And then there was a gentleman in Randolph, his name was Joseph Bustos. And I'm sure there's a lot of hockey parents at the time forcing the so-called government in Randolph to start putting up some money to build a hockey rink in Randolph. And it was a boom all around the Massachusetts area to start supporting the game of hockey. And I was fortunate enough to be in the right spot, right time in Randolph that Joseph Bustos got the money and built a beautiful rink for back in, what, 72. And those were my first 3 years of high school. So my parents didn't have to pay for ice time, but it was free. But when I got into bantams, gentleman Jack Foley couldn't be here because he's a coach at college, University in Boston. He was one of those guys that said that this guy out here with just the shin pads on, with no pants, pair of elbow pads, a borrowed helmet, says, watch this kid play. There's 60 kids, trying out for bantams at the time, and Jack Foley, I went to the second tryout, third tryout, and then parents and coaches went in and said, all right, who do you like? 132, okay, he's okay. 158, he's okay. And my number was like 180 something. And we don't know him, he hasn't been in the league. He didn't play Pee-wee for Randolph. And Jack Foley said, if this kid is not on my team, I'm not coaching. And he told me this 15 years ago when we were working at a hockey school, and it meant a lot, and he's still a great friend. My high school coach is here, Paul Torney. He was a big factor. He's still a great friend of mine, and his wife used to wash my jersey for me when after games, and a lot of tears in that jersey, and I'm very proud that, Paul, you're here with me. And another gentleman that's sitting next to him is Dave O'Connor. I was being recruited pretty highly around the country to play Notre Dame, USC, Michigan State, Boston College. And at the time, Paul Torney and a couple other teachers at my high school said, Rod, aren't you kind of young to make a decision on one sport? And we started talking. It was a small Division II football, hockey, baseball program. I said, yeah, but these guys are big time, and I'm gonna get a free ride, might get a free car out of it. Hopefully the NCAA doesn't realize that I got one, but it didn't happen. But I would have loved a nice little vet. David came down. He was recruiting me for a linebacker, and I wanted to play quarterback. But I said, Dave, do you think I can play Division I hockey? I said, Rod, I don't know if you're any good. You've been playing Division II, and there's a gentleman that has passed on. He was my hockey coach. His name was Charlie Hope. And Dave left the interview at the school and drove 2 hours back to Durham, New Hampshire. Went right to Charlie's office or his home, and I said, Charlie, you know this guy from Randolph? I said my name, and Charlie goes, can he play Division I hockey? And Charlie says, why? Does he want to come to UNH? I said, well, he wants to play two sports. But the deal is we got to let him play two sports. David called me about 10 o'clock at home. He said, Rod, you want to come to UNH? Charlie Holt will have you on your team. All right, well, let's put a contract together. And there's not many college kids could get a deal going with an AD to get on paper stating that if I decided to play one of the other sports, that sport will allow me to pick up the contract or pick up my scholarship. University of New Hampshire did. 3 days later, I committed to UNH. And David, by the way, was my football coach, well, my outside linebacker in football at UNH, and to this day, he's still a great fan. Thank you, Dave. I want to thank the Hall of Fame. I'm going to be quite short, but a lot of things have gone on the last week, and I know the families. I was at Bernie's party last night at Gretzky's, and to see them together, the crew that he had from St. Louis, and the crew that Clark and the coach has around, and I have my own. My two boys are here. I'm missing one of my daughters. She couldn't make it, but my wife, Teresa, my daughter you've seen around, Maya's 6 months old. I think my mother-in-law has her, or not my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law has her downstairs sleeping somewhere. But this week couldn't go so smooth without all of you guys. Tata, you up? Oh, my father-in-law. Sometimes he knows, goes off, but that's all right. But I'm very fortunate to be associated with your family, Mr. Julius Fabian, the famous one. So thank you. But again, to the Hall of Fame, to the committee, it is a great honor to all of us to get into this building and be adopted into a family like a Stanley Cup. You can't take the name off the cup when you win it. And to see my plaque up here with the great ones is a great honor. And Dick Patrick, representing the Capitals here, Dick, David Poyle, my coaching staff with Washington Capitals, all the players that I played with through Bantams, through college. You're part of me, and you know it. We're friends for life. And I was telling Clarky, well, really the coach, I was telling that hockey players are very different. We played in Toronto, the alumni yesterday, and it seemed like no one, you've seen them yesterday at a bar or at school, and you never missed a step. You just knew what they were doing. You asked the right question and pat on the back, congratulations, what are you doing? And the hockey players are special people, and it's great to be a professional hockey player at the time, and it's great to be in this building. Thank you very much.